I arrived at Bell on the morning of September the 3rd. That's the misprint in the Bell notes. It says evening. Now, the third word in the book is wrong. Well, at any rate, it was on the morning of September 3rd. I arrived at the Elmwood plant of Bell Aircraft in Buffalo. I had an appointment with Jack Strickler to demonstrate my model, and I was feeling fairly high. Here was I, an inventor, but I actually didn't have to knock on the door. I was invited. So I was, when the policeman said I couldn't go in with his suitcase, I asked for the head cop, and I said, "Call your dogs off. I have an appointment with Jack Strickler." I wouldn't have had the nerve to do that later, but at any rate, I got in, and we put the model together and flew it in the plant among the Airacobras. Wasn't much room, but it interested the assembled engineers. And then I showed them my film, and then met Larry Bell, whom I took a fancy to right away. He was a marvelous person. He had a great sense of humor, and he always seemed to know what was going on. Remember the time we'd been working at Gardenville for several years, and Larry got Bart and I to come up to the main plant. And we were standing just inside the hangar as though we were about to be revealed or something. But I remember seeing these Army personnel on the horizon. And Larry leaned over and whispered to us, now I'm going to introduce you to the opposite sex. This was the Army personnel. Well, when I did get to the agreements about the contract took a few weeks, but more or less settled that first day. And I was installed in Bob Wood's office. Bob Woods was the chief design engineer, the genius who had designed the Airacobra. And of course, Bart was with me. I was very fortunate in having Bart, because I don't think I could have lived through it without Bart's sense of humor. At any rate, Bart and I were installed in Bob Wood's office, and there was a secretary, Carol, who was a sweet little thing. Bob Woods, who was rotund as a bull, very jovial. Didn't seem like a designer of high-speed airplanes, but at any rate, he would say to the secretary, "Carol, go out of the room. I want to tell a dirty story." And then there was Jack Sitlow, who was my assistant. He was supposed to know the ropes at Bell and help me get things. I gave him a list of different sizes of screws. I was obsessed by the idea I had to have a shop and have a complete set of everything. And here with all these facilities, I was going to have all the bolt sizes from 1/4 inch to 1 inch and all the threads and so on. So I listed these, and it were about 100 items, different lengths, thicknesses, thread sizes, and so on. And Jack said, "Oh no, that would never do. They'd have to be on separate requisition slips." So he spent the morning writing it out carefully out on separate slips, and took this to the bolt supply place. And the man there said, "Oh no, that won't do. Put it all on one list." So I began to realize that Jack wasn't going to be as much help as I needed. And one of his things to me was, "Arthur," he said, when you go in the shop, don't wear a coat. You don't want them to think you're part of management. Well, I ignored that. And I may say I got along very well with the men. That reminds me of another one. When we had to move, remember that, Bart? We had to move up to the Wheatfield plant. And the first day the rain was coming through the roof, and the next day the pitch was coming because they put the pitch on to keep out the rain. But the pitch was coming through. But the first visitor I had was someone from the main plant, very well-dressed individual who came in and said he had been assigned to help me meet the men. He would take me out and introduce me to the men. Well, these were the men I'd been working with for 3 years and had hand-picked myself. I'm sorry I didn't take them up on it. I think it would have been a great joke.